Good morning, entrepreneurs. Today's lecture is about the consumption tax. In Japan, if you buy anything, if you purchase a goods or product, you pay 8% consumption tax. But not all the products or services are taxable in Japan. So today I will explain what is a taxable transaction and what is the others. So maybe you haven't heard about it, but there is 4 types of the sales in Japan. The first one is taxable sales, 8%, and second one is tax exemption sales, and third one is non-taxable sales, and the fourth one is others. So 8% of the consumption tax will apply to only the first type, taxable sales. For those 3 types, the consumption tax is not paid. But why there are 3 types of transaction? In order to explain that, I want to tell you about how the consumption tax is calculated. In general, it's taxable sales multiplied by 8% minus taxable sales, taxable purchase multiplied by 8%. So this is a tax, consumption tax you receive when you make sales, and this is a consumption tax when you buy anything. So the net amount is plus, you need to pay that consumption tax, and if this amount is larger than this amount, you receive the refund for the consumption tax. But to be precisely, the calculation is more complicated. Taxable sales multiplied by 8%, but the deductible part, the credit part, is taxable purchase multiplied by 8% multiplied by taxable sales ratio. So what is a taxable sales ratio? It is taxable sales plus tax exemption sales divided by taxable sales plus tax exemption sales and non-taxable sales. So you can get the consumption tax credit according to the taxable sales ratio, and because of that, the transaction have to be separated into the 4 types: taxable, tax exemption, non-taxable, and others. Other means like never appears in this calculation. So what the definition of the taxable sales is? The first condition is the services are provided or products are sold in Japan. So if it's provided in overseas, it's not a taxable sales. And the second one is the sales are made for the purpose of the business. So if you sell your goods, not goods, like if you sell your desk or bed in the internet auctions, that is not done for the business purposes, so it's not taxable sales. And also you have to receive the compensation to become a taxable transaction. So that means donation is not taxable. And the fourth one is whether it has to be by the transfer or lease of the asset or provide the services. So that means if you make an investment for the stock and receive the dividend, that is not providing the services or selling the product, so that's not taxable transaction. The next one is tax exemption sales. This is basically for the export or provide the services to the non-resident, like doing the marketing of the Japan for the American people or American companies. That's not taxable. But those 3 things, for example, are not included in the tax exemption sale. Those are taxable sales. So the transportation, like the foreigner come to Japan and take a train, that's taxable. And drinking and eating in Japan is, of course, it's taxable, even though it's Japanese or foreigners. And also the other services, like that are consumed in Japan. So it's a consumption tax. So if it's consumed in Japan, that's taxable. The third type is like international transportation, like airplane or the ship, and the communication services between the Japan and overseas, like a telephone. Those are treated as tax exemption sales. The next type is non-taxable sales. For example, sales and lease of the land is non-taxable sales, and sales of the stock or monetary asset like bonds are not taxable, and the transfer of the money is not taxable, and bank interest is not taxable, and medical services and social welfare, those are not taxable because Japan is encouraging these services. Japanese government is supporting these services, so it has to be non-taxable. But like for example, the cosmetic surgery, it might be taxable sales. And the number 6 is the cost like for the funeral or birthing. These are not taxable. And number 7 is school education is not taxable. So it has to be based on the education. It has to be education based on the school education law. So going to the language school or go to learn the English or to learn the sport, these are not included in here. That means those are taxable. And the last one is home rent. So the rent that has to be for the residential. That has to be residential. So if you renting the office, that's taxable. But if you're renting for your home, that is not taxable transaction. The last one, this one is never appears in the calculation of the taxable sales ratio, so you don't really have to think about these items when you prepare the consumption tax return. The example are like a donation and sales outside Japan and dividend and investment, make investment to the companies, and your salary. You don't pay the consumption tax for the salary, and also the insurance. So those one is no consumption tax and no impact on the taxable sales ratio. Thank you for listening. See you next time. I hope you enjoyed this channel. If you like it, please subscribe. See you next time.